Hi there and welcome to 10-Minute TTRPGs, a show where every episode I, your host, Cutest Patoot, try to, and usually succeed, to create a game in less than 10 minutes, and then we give it a spin. But first, I also answer a question about game design before we get started. So this month's question is actually a question that I've been asked a bunch of times before, so if you've heard me talk about it on a stream, let's pretend you forgot. If you have one, what do you think is your design signature / what do you think your games are known for? Me personally, event tables and using D6s probably, to be very literal. I love an event table. I love a D6. I love an accessible D6. I love knowing that I made a game that, like, in a hurry, you're just so passionate about it, you know, like somebody saw my game and they're like, I gotta do this right now. I've never played TTRPG before. I gotta go, I gotta give it a shot. And they are digging around their house and they don't know, you know, like they don't have any other kinds of dice, and they bust out grandma's Yahtzee from the back of the bookshelf and they like bang that thing open and dig out the die that are in there and they play, you know? And I think that's cool. I like to think that a signature, I guess, or something that they're known for is a degree of like weirdness and surrealness mixed with very real grounded emotion. That's what I would like to be known for anyway. What my games actually have been, as in like other people have said to my face, known for, or what they've been frequently used for and therefore become known for, is that like a lot of my games are very therapeutic, and not like therapeutic in like colloquial sense of like it made me feel better, but like therapeutic as in they're used in youth groups and in therapy, which I am just so, you know, grateful for. I'm grateful that people are kind of entrusting their personal feelings to this system that I created, these games that I've created. And I think that is you know, a great honor. And then also that I think that plays kind of into what I would like to be known for, which is the degree of weirdness or surrealism in which you can explore very real emotions. Those emotions are frustration, anger, resentment, good stuff like contentment, wonder, whimsy, joy, betrayal, love. You know, I feel like my range of games is quite diverse in emotion, and, you know, I think they're also all kind of kooky. So, they're a little quirky, and, you know, I sound like 2008 Zooey Deschanel. I'm so sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, they're a little weird. You know, my first major game was kind of inspired by the aesthetics of Candyland and the way that I used to make Candyland in an RPG, and the fact that I like magical girl anime and I like cats, and I made one where you get to be magical girl cat situation. You get to be like witch cats, like familiars, but you're also magical, so you're like magical cats solving hijinks, and like the most surreal things can happen. And I've watched the playtests. I've been a part of playtests of that game, and no two games are even remotely the same. Even ones that like both choose to play in the setting that's more like Candyland-ish or like fantastical, no two of them are the same, and they all have events in them that I never anticipated, that couldn't have possibly anticipated. So I like that. I like that they're, you know, a bit out there, or a bit, you know, out of left field. I don't know. I would like to think. I think every creator wants to think their stuff is like out of left field. Then again, like at the same time, when you know like the creative and you look at their games, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And it's just like, so not only is it not out of left field, apparently it makes perfect sense when you know the person. You know, so yeah, that's, you know, the long and short of it is that I think I would like people to have a whimsical or a fantastical space, even if it's just in like the realm of the situation, not so much like literally like fantasy or anything, in which to explore real emotions. My God. And the real emotion that I'm currently exploring is that I am tired. Oh boy. Okay. Sometimes I end up talking a lot longer. It's only 5 minutes. We kept it kind of short. So for everyone listening who might be new, I am going to generate a random game title from a generator, and then we are going to be inspired. I plan on being inspired in precisely T-10. And then we are going to go through some set questions together and create a game from scratch in less than 10 minutes. What we're trying to do is make sure that we have the skeleton, the actual, like, physically, like, writing sentences out of my, like, icky, scratchy handwriting or shorthand. Today we're typing. Usually I handwrite my notes, and now I'm going to give it a shot with, like, typing them on a separate device to see if maybe that's faster or more legible, because if you want to check on my Kofi, I usually post pictures of, like, the really scrawly, fast, like, notes that I take during this. So we're going to put together a game based on some set questions that I have from scratch in less than 10 minutes, and you can too. I believe in you. I've linked the title generator that I used in the description of this episode. It's the one from Michael Clamorous on itch.io. It's the indie TTRPG generator. And I want to see what you come up with. I want to see you make your own games from these prompts, everybody please share them with me at The Cutest Patoot on Twitter, or at The Cutest Patoot on Instagram. And even cooler, I just started an ongoing itch jam. So on itch.io, I started a game jam. The link will also be in the description. I've promoted it a little bit, and I will be not only adding all of the games that I make, of course, over the course of the show, but I will also be adding the games that you guys make, / I will be promoting the games that you guys make. Please add them yourselves. I cannot add them. I don't know. I got mixed up there. It happens. I'm very tired. Anyway, please submit your games to Game Jam. Nobody's going to be rejected. There's no voting. There's no, that's, it's not that kind of jam. This is just to enjoy the fruits of our labor and, see how creative people are, how many different games can come from the same, title idea, or base, inspiration. You don't have to use the title that I use. You just have to be inspired by it, to let me know which episode the game that you made is inspired by. It can be tiny. It can be a big one. It can be literally any TTRPG that you come up with from the prompts on this show. So please share them with me. I love seeing them. I love playing them. And I also, when I can later, I hope to be able to play them on stream. And if I can't play them on stream, I'll probably play them on YouTube. So, that is all that to say, it's time to get started. Let me grab the generator. Real quick before I also press start on the generator, I was originally going to record this episode a couple days ago, but I had a barometric pressure migraine. And if I had recorded it then, the game would have been called Barometric Pressure Migraine. And the game mechanic would have been you roll the dice after the premise is that you woke up with a barometric pressure migraine. And you roll the dice, and evens is you go back to bed, and odds is you lay down and cry. And that would have been the win condition, would be wait that out for 23 hours or until it rains. So very glad that we waited, because I'm sure whatever we come up with now is going to be better than that. Let's set the bar low. Let's set the bar at, let's make a game better than barometric pressure migraine. Okay. We got Low Magic Weekend, a 1-page game for 4 to 6 players. Okay, let's do this. Okay, hit the timer. Let's go. Okay, so the title is Low Magic Weekend. This is it kind of reminds me of Low Spoons. Honest to God, the spoons thing can be kind of abstract, so for some people, so maybe we should just go with low magic. I'm chronically ill and I'm disabled, and I feel like all around everybody's got really low spoons. So maybe everybody has really low magic right now. Maybe we should make this a self-care type of situation, but with your friends. So maybe with friends. Could be virtual, could be in person. So it says for 4 to 6 players. I think that's doable. Lately, we've been doing a lot of solo stuff, and, we don't want to be a one-trick pony, so let's think. Okay, 4 to 6 players. Okay, so the premise and win condition. What's the premise and what's the end game versus where you start? So I think you start with you and your friends were supposed to go out tonight. you guys were all like supposed to go out. You and your 3 best friends, or like more depending, but like base premise of like 4 players. You and your 3 best friends were supposed to go out tonight, and secretly all of you woke up and were like, oh fuck no. No, but you don't want to bail. You don't want to not see your friends. You want to see your friends. You want to hang out. And maybe one of you has to be the brave one. So like I think you roll a dice. Let's roll, you know what? Let's stray from the beaten path. Let's use a D20. Ooh, this is a D20 game, finally. Okay, but it is magic, not energy. So maybe instead of just going out normally, you guys are all magic, and you were about to go. You guys were going to go somewhere like. You guys were going to go to like. I'm like legitimately do not know what this is called in English. It's called like Walpurgisnacht. It's called like Walpurgis night. Do you say it like that in English? I don't know. But it's like the big night of like witches where like they like just party all night long. They just party all night long. It's certainly something. Let's see, it's like W night. It's a big witch night. It's just not happening. So instead, you guys are going to have a low magic weekend. It feels like you're not going to be able to replenish properly until the end of the weekend. So what you need is to replenish your magic by self-care by the end of the weekend. So you wake up, it's Saturday morning, so you've got Saturday and Sunday that you play in-game, where you want to replenish your magic by self-care. So that means that we need to be, okay, so is there a GM or is there no GM? I don't think we need a GM because I feel like this is like a very mutually uplifting game. So the premise is that you guys all woke up, you have a big night technically tonight that you guys were all supposed to go to, but that's just not happening. You have a low magic weekend. You don't even have enough magic to make it to the mountain that they usually celebrate on. So what you have to do instead is that you guys have to self-care. This is something I think where like there's going to be there's mechanics where you can help each other. So like maybe there's a lot of like, there's more than one way to like support roll each other through like maybe set tasks of the day. You know, you don't always have to support. You might not always need support, but you can maybe ask for support on a roll if like it's something maybe that you have a disadvantage in. Maybe we do disadvantages. I think we could. I think it could be fun. Let's see, disadvantages for help. So you have set list of tasks for this time. No, I'm not going to make another timed TTRPG. I will not. It's okay. It's not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to be relaxing. And maybe we can integrate real world self-care and into the mechanics. So like you can like legitimately make sure the part of the prep is that like maybe you have like a nice smelling candle that you really like. Maybe you have like a tea or something that you really like. And maybe the time that these activities take is the timer. So the time that the self-care can take can factor into the game time-wise. Maybe during that there's like something to answer, like a question. And that can give you a bonus. That gives you a boost. That gives you a bit of magic back. That gives you magic back. Okay. Ooh, I really like this. Okay. And that can give you some of your magic back. So there's no GM. And then who you play as, you know, I mean, you're just somebody who has magic. I don't really put any limitations on somebody who has magic, but you play as somebody who has magic. Maybe you roll one. Let's do more than one dice in this one. You roll 1d4. No, there's like 6 players max. So like 1d6 for a different archetype of magic. Yes, that does remind you a bit of Verhex nochmal. But in that one, you're the cats. And in this one, you are the people that have magic. So I could probably use a lot of the same, not a lot of the same, but like not the same mechanics. I mean like the same archetypes. Because those are the ones that are like not closed practice magic like things. And I don't want anybody here to be committing bigotry with my games. So we're going to stick with stuff that's very like whimsical and open practice. There's like tech witches, chaos witches. Also, you don't have to use the word like witch. I've just been using person who has magic in this one because I don't want anybody to feel like it's inherently gendered. So like you're a person who has magic and maybe you practice ocean magic, maybe you practice love magic. But I think that that'll also play into like each of those types will come with a set of like disadvantages, maybe 2. 2 disadvantages per archetype that you have. Okay, so you guys can all support each other. Maybe in this game, technically, you all live together, or maybe you guys are just staying together for the time being. I think like the living situation is that you are all close, but when you're playing this game, you can play it remotely, of course. You can play this like with your own stuff at home. If anything, that might make the self-care stuff more accessible. So it might be more accessible to play it like remotely. Okay, I think we got it. I think we're done. Let's summarize it real quick. So today's game is Low Magic Weekend. The premise is you wanted to have a night out with your friends, a magical night. It is the biggest night for the people who have magic. You are supposed to all go up this mountain together, meet up with other witches, and like just have like an absolute like amazing time. But you guys woke up and your magic is really low. And it happens. You guys aren't unfamiliar with that. It happens sometimes. Your magic's just low and it needs some TLC. This happens to all of you. You don't even have enough magic to make it up the mountain. So you're all out of magic. And by the end of this weekend, which is when, so this party's going to be going on, right? And maybe the people that you would like to see, maybe they'll still hang around a little bit till like Monday or whatever. And maybe you'll get to see them off. Maybe you'll just say goodbye. So what you would like to do, also for your own sakes, is by the end of the weekend, which is 2 in-play days, which are marked off by set tasks that you guys all have to do, which I think are random, by the way. So you're going to roll for the tasks, and it's like a set number of tasks. So there's going to be more. There's going to be like 20 tasks, and you only need 12. So you only need 12. So it's 6, let's say like 6 per day, right? That's a lot of tasks. I do not do 6 tasks per day. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't do that. So we have these tasks. And we are all going to be doing them and replenishing our magic through these tasks of self-care and also tasks of, because sometimes self-care is very comforting, but sometimes self-care also means having to do something kind of tough that is good for you. You know, maybe on some of these, depending on what type of magic you have, you might need an assist from one of your friends. So there's some supporting roles that you can do. We work with the D20 system. You'll have a failure and success table. And by the end of Sunday, you would like to have replenished your magic based on the magic counter that I would provide with your archetype. Everybody has the same amount. You wake up and it's at like 2. You need it to be like up. So self-care factors in. The time it takes to perform self-care factors in to the task. So there's no rushing in this. There is no goal for trying to get this done as fast as possible. This is supposed to be relaxing, cozy, a nice change of pace from the last 2 games that I designed, which were quite horror adjacent or thrillers. You get 2 disadvantages per archetype. You live close, and this is actually a game that is best played remotely. That sounds pretty complete to me. That is a solid premise. And we finished with 2 minutes and 7 seconds on the timer because I stopped it when I started summarizing. So, damn. Now I want to play. Every time I do this, I legitimately think, oh my God, what if I'm not going to be able to come up with a game? And then not only do I come up with a game, I'm like, damn, I want to play this. All right. This was a lot more legible, these notes this time. So I'm going to pull them into a Google Doc and decipher the way that it's legible, but it's still in shorthand. So I'm going to go decipher this real quick, and then we'll be right back to play the game. All right, I have my dice, and it is time to see how this game plays. So I haven't written any of the flavor text except for one of the types of witches because I have a feeling that this game is kind of it's got its claws in me, and I actually really love it, like, a lot. Like, every week I'm like, you know, like I've said, every week I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to do it, and then I make something I'm obsessed with. But like, this is actually, and I say this every week, which is cool, but I really mean it every time. I'm so obsessed with this game, and I love it so much, and it means so much to me, and I think it's got some great potential, that I'm actually going to be adding way more flavor text to this than I do for any of the other games that I design on the show so far, because I try to keep them like mini, but this is so cool that I do think it's going to take a little bit more time to flesh out. I mean, I'm just going to give myself like a couple hours later and like let myself just like vibe and write out some flavor text to make it kind of cuter. But I did write out for one type of witch that you can play as. But first, let's revisit. It's Low Magic Weekend. 4 to 6 players, no GM. You need a D6, a D20, something to write with, and some comfort items. Now, I have a big bag of dice because I never prepare my dice beforehand. I always forget to. We're just going to pull one of the D20s out. Whose dice is it today? Okay, this is from Die Hard Dice. Actually, almost all my dice are from Die Hard Dice. Got a D20 from Die Hard Dice. And you know what? Let's do our D6 actually from my friend Megan. She got me my very first ever dice. And I thought, maybe they'll have some magic for me today. So the premise, of course, is this is a magical game of chronic illness. So you don't have to be chronically ill to play or empathize with it. You and your coven members share a home, and for weeks now you've been excited for this weekend. This one weekend a year, all witches go out and party all night long, letting their magic flow freely and run wild. It's very funny to me when I stumble over things I literally wrote. Wild. Anyway. This year, however, on Friday night, you all started to feel what Saturday morning would confirm. Your magic levels dropped overnight. There's no way any of you are going out, much less all weekend. Low magic doesn't just affect your abilities. It affects your inner world, personality, and physical energy. Sometimes this happens. It's not your first rodeo, but still it can be disappointing. You wanted so badly to have this weekend out, but it doesn't mean you have nothing. You have each other and your home. And some, keyword some, magic. There's only one way to replenish magic. Replenish magic. That is a very weird, hard thing to say. There's only one way to replenish magic. Quality rest. Which also means that you need to get and stay cozy in your home while trying to use your remaining magic to care for yourself and your coven. Grab your comforting tasks lists. Tasks lists? Yes, it is 2 S's, my God. No, it's not. Task lists. My God. I'm fighting for my life. It's my own writing. And settle in for a low magic weekend. So you get to play, you get to choose what kind of witch you want to be, not a gendered term, by choosing from the archetypes of magic. So you have magic, this isn't news to you. Sometimes though you wake up and man, oh man, you can feel it's just so low, uncomfortably low. But what kind of magic is it? And what does it look like to run low? So there's a bunch of archetypes here. The one that I fleshed out already is the Sun Witch, because I thought that one just came to me first, and I was like, this is really nice. Like I had my list and I was like, none of them are speaking to me as much as this one. So that's what we're going to play as today. I'm going to play a Sun Witch. So a Sun Witch with low magic radiates discontent, wet dog energy. There's really no better way to put it. The way your dog might catch your eye in the wash basin at the groomers, both resigned to their fate and asking you, their god and protector, why, is exactly how you feel catching this witch's eye from their spot on the carpet, hoodie drawn over their head. Usually the sun is their best friend, a strong ally they have the power and energy to channel safely, but without that strength, the sun turns into an overstimulating nightmare they yearn for but cannot stomach in large doses. Their magic is usually all heat and power and creation. Manifesting new realities is second nature to them, but at these magic levels, their magic is cautious and gentle, focused but weak in comparison to the force they're used to wielding. There's 2 disadvantages per thing, like I told you guys. Disadvantage number 1 is anything big, bold, or bright. Their bodies cannot handle the weight of creation at this moment, and they can't promise good results on anything requiring strength or power. Disadvantage number 2. Usually, brilliant illusionists and artists of light don't expect any of that prowess now. Where their illusions are usually lifelike, they are now, at best, the graphic resolution equivalent of playing Snake on an old cell phone. So, we picked our witch, and now we're going to roll a d20 for a couple tasks. Okay, we're just going to roll, and I'm just going to highlight them in this thing. So each task comes with an in-game magical task and an IRL equivalent. So let's roll a d20. Do not fail me now. D20. Okay, I got a 13. So the first task on my list is in-game, cast a spell to give yourself a perfectly warm glow inside. I literally just said I am weak to that. Inside and out. The IRL equivalent is to give a compliment to yourself, which you do like out loud in the group. So that's one of my tasks. Let's see another task that I might get. So you have to do this 12 times because you need 12 tasks. So I rolled a 1. Number 1 is use telekinesis to make yourself a warm drink without getting up. And the IRL equivalent is make a cup of tea or cocoa, or warm drink of choice. I don't know. I'm not the ruler of your kitchen. So this and similar things are the tasks that you would roll. The gameplay is everybody rolls 12 times. You fill up your tasks list. You fill out your little character sheet at the end of like what your archetype is, what your disadvantages is, and you start your magic meter off at 1 point. That's your little magic point. It caps at 25 because 1 plus 24 is 25. Each task gives you 2 points. The way that it's going to go is we're going to start just rolling for our task because the game takes over 2 days, which is 12 tasks total, 6 tasks per day. That's how it's also separated. And then we're going to roll our D20, and it doesn't have a DC. It's a bit different. The mechanic of this is a bit different. I'm very proud of it, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to roll a D20, and you want to roll an even number for success. If you hit an odd number, you failed. But it is not just a straight failure and you don't get to move on. So if you roll a success, then you replenish 2 magic points. Make sure to note it in your character sheet. If you roll an odd number and it doesn't work, instead, then you pick up a D6 and you assign a number to each of the other players you're playing with. So I just wrote the 6 was the max. Obviously, if you're playing with more, adjust. But like, everybody picks a number, you roll, and if there's excess numbers over players, so just keep counting, going in a circle. And you ask the player that it lands on. So like if I say, if I roll my D6 and I have a 3, then I go to the other player who is 3, and they choose one of their tasks in their list, and that is what I succeeded in instead. So let's say that I tried to give myself a warm glow, and I failed. But my magic just kind of zapped around, and you get the chance to kind of role play out, I was trying to give myself a warm glow, and something glowed. The teapot glowed, and I accidentally made them the cup of tea that's on their task list, So they actually get 2 points. I don't get 2 points. They get 2 points. Because this is not just a game of self-care. This is also a game of mutual care. Caring for each other, caring for your friends, and having them care for you, even inadvertently, is something that is just completely like tied together. Sometimes you try to take care of yourself and you end up taking care of other people as well. Sometimes you try to take care of another person and you take care of yourself instead. Or not even instead, but also. So that is the mechanic for failure. Likewise, if somebody else fails, they might end up, giving me a warm glow. As for the disadvantage, which I would be rolling here actually, so since, for example, the task of giving myself that warm glow is something that I'm not good at because it involves light, and that's something that's difficult for me right now. If I have a task that entails something my character's magic struggles with, even on a good day, I have to roll at disadvantage. Disadvantage means instead of having to roll an even number on my D20, you can roll odds or evens, but you have to roll under your current magic meter. That sucks because my magic meter is 1. To roll a d20 and roll under 1 or under. So if your magic meter is at 4, you have to roll a 3 or less to succeed, right? That sounds kind of impossible in the beginning, but that's where the teamwork comes in, which, we're going to, obviously, as I often do, you might be new here, you might not know this, but I play all of the roles in the party when I test these games. So I'm also another character who maybe already has a 2 or maybe a 3 because, I don't know, maybe I went before this character, first character, before me. I don't know. It's getting a little confusing with the pronouns here. Before the first me, and maybe 2 other parties failed and they ended up choosing me and they filled up my meter a bit. So maybe actually I have a 6 in my magic meter and the other me just has a 1. I can choose to assist, and by choose to assist, it actually comes from the player that needs help. You have to ask for help in this game. It's not just something that's offered, it's something specifically that's asked. If anything, it's actually not in the rules to offer your help. I think sometimes, especially when I'm chronically ill, I do often want help. But sometimes I do not. Or sometimes it doesn't matter if I do or do not. I want the option of help to be my choice. You lose a lot of agency sometimes when you lose, abilities and, energy. So sometimes the ability to choose to ask for help instead of just needing to ask for help can kind of mentally make you feel a bit better, a bit more in control. So you can choose to ask for help if you have to roll at a disadvantage, though sometimes inviting a little safe thrill in a risky roll is also self-care. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you like drama. If you want to, then you, before you roll, you'd ask a player for help. If they help you, then you roll and you try to roll under your cumulative magic meter. So if they had 4 points and I had 1 point, then we have 5 points. And I have to roll under 5. With this example now, I gave the other character 6 points. So now I just have to roll under a 7. It's still not super easy because it is a disadvantage and it's something I'm not very good at, but that's okay because, again, if you fail this, it just means that I accidentally took care of somebody else. So let's roll and see if I would beat a 7. I hit a 12, so I did not, actually. So my, co-player tried to help me. We can play out and describe what that looks like depending on what kind of witch they are. But I failed, and that means that I get to roll a d6 again. So let's pretend I'm playing with 6 other people. And the person who just helped me is, number 6, and I'm number 5. So everybody else is 1, 2, 3. I rolled a 3. So 3 would pick a task on their list. Let's roll a d20, actually, and get another task from the list as an example. And that would be a 7. And the 7 is use your magic to fill everybody's water bottles. In IRL, let's have some water, which you should do if you're listening. You should have some water. So instead, number 6 tried to help me. Our magic didn't work. Maybe they were trying to help me fill myself with a warm light. And how lovely of an idea is that, But instead, when we opened our eyes, we saw everybody's water bottles filling. Magic's kind of chaotic. You have no idea what's going to happen sometimes, especially when you don't have as much control over it. But I think that this game gives a lot of opportunity for loving and caring hijinks. I really like the dice mechanics. I think they're super different from anything I've done before. And I love them. So the character sheet has name, pronouns, character name, type of magic, and disadvantages, and then a task list that is separated in Saturday 1 through 6 and Sunday 1 through 6. And at the very bottom it says magic meter, parentheses, starts at 1, caps at 25, for you to keep track of it. So you should keep something to write or type with, depending on what you're using it on. And that is a wrap. That is the game. I'm obsessed. I like it so much. I didn't expect it to come out like this. I didn't expect those kinds of mechanics to come out, but I'm super proud of them. I love them a lot. And we've come to the end. So big thank you for listening. And maybe even if you did, for playing along. And maybe you will in future. Maybe inspiration is stewing for you. So thank you so much for playing along. Maybe designing your own game. Thanks so much if you want to play this game. I want to see your games. I want to see your sketches of games. I want to see your ideas for games. I want to hear about them. If you're on YouTube, you can leave them in a comment. If you want to, you could submit them to the jam on Itch, which is also going to be linked below, regardless of if you're listening to this as a podcast on a podcast platform or on YouTube. Make sure to tell me all about your game ideas, things that you were inspired by in this, and, what you think about this game. I'm always interested in hearing it. You can also let me know in the form of a review on Itch. You can also, by the way, if you are not on Itch, if you prefer Kofi, you can pick this game up on Kofi. I always make these games pay what you can /free so that everybody has access to them. This one, I think, might also come with a pretty game book. Who is to say? Not me. I don't know yet. I am chronically ill. Who's to say I have the energy for that right now? But if it doesn't yet come out with a pretty version, it will get a pretty update soon. Until then, it might just be a Google Doc. But if you download that, then you'll always have access to the pretty version as well, which you would anyway because it's free. You can also find this in the Itch Jam. So I believe if you go on Itch, you can look at the jams it's submitted to. You might be able to find it that way. If you don't, for some reason, if you lose track of the link below. So if you can, please leave us a sweet 5-star review. Make sure to hit follow, subscribe, and notification buttons as are relevant to your platform. And make sure to keep up with me on the Kofi, on Twitter, or on Instagram at @thecutestpatoot, or hit me up on any of the other socials listed or mentioned in the description box below. And while you're at it, of course, feel free to check out other shows on my network, also linked below, and check out my games on cutestpatoot.h.io or Kofi I think it's Kofi /cutestpatoot. I'll see you next month. And remember, if you can tell a story, you can make a game.